Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Predator video. You're here with Gore and More, and today, guys, we're going to talk about some interesting developments happening within the Predator universe, if you will, and some of the things we saw at yesterday's San Diego Comic-Con, where there were some announcements regarding the upcoming film Predator Badlands. So, just to get into it, guys, you probably saw the title of this video is Predator Hunting Grounds Still Canon, and for those of you that may not have played the game, Predator Hunting Grounds is a game that was released by IllFonic in 2020. It's a 1v4 asymmetrical game regarding all things Predator from various films and stuff like that. So it's a different way to consume Predator in the form of a video game. But before we jump into the San Diego Comic-Con and all that stuff and all of these announcements by Dan Trachtenberg and his team, I want to talk a little bit about Predator Hunting Grounds. So, when the game was first announced, it had a lot of Predator fans excited being able to play the Predator and both the Fireteam members in, video game form. But also, for the diehard Predator fans out there, they were wondering, is this game going to be canon with the Predator franchise, or is it just going to be fan service, So they asked IllFonic directly, and it was confirmed, guys, that this game was absolutely canon. And to quote directly from IllFonic, in a PlayStation blog interview before the game came out, they said that everything they make in this game will become a part of the official lore, suggesting that the game's narrative elements, such as audio logs and characters like Dutch Schaefer. So, there you have it, guys. Everything in the game, IllFonic wanted to keep the game true to Predator lore, kind of not break that canon, break the narrative that we know as the Predator. So, with that in mind, guys, we had the San Diego Comic-Con yesterday where and spoiler alert before we get into it, Dan Trachtenberg announced that there would be an extended ending to Predator Killer of Killers. And if you guys haven't seen that yet, the extended ending is very short but very significant, so I suggest you pause the video, go watch that extended ending, and come back before we get into it. But just to let you know, we're going to jump into that now. So, the extended ending of Predator Killer of Killers simply was, if you guys remember from the original, at the end, we saw Naru at the end from Prey in cryostasis, in a cryostasis chamber. She was captured by the Predators, most likely because she defeated a Predator. So, we saw Naru there. That was a big, that was a big shocker for a lot of us. A lot of us were really excited about that. But at the extended ending of Killer of Killers, you then see both Mike Harrigan and Dutch Schaefer popping up, which obviously that had people reeling, that had people excited, especially for folks, that remember the original film or Predator 2. Dutch and Mike both are very beloved characters within the Predator franchise. So, what does that all mean? Well, this is all well and good, guys. However, by doing this, something, whether it's Predator Killer of Killers or Predator Hunting Grounds, has to be breaking canon. And let me explain that a little bit, because obviously in Predator Hunting Grounds, which again was released in 2020, but set in 2025, includes Dutch in the game. And again, if this game is lore, Dutch has been included in the game, and also, with Dutch's OWLF notes, Predator Stalking Shadows, the novel that came out before the game, talks a lot about Dutch and what happened with him after his 1987 encounter with the Predator. Unfortunately, nothing in the game, nothing in the novel talk about Dutch being in cryostasis and being captured by Predators. Instead, he joined the OWLF. He was pretty much like a free agent in terms of a Predator hunter. That's what Dutch did all of these years. He was a Predator hunter. And come 2025, in the setting of Predator Hunting Grounds, he was able to use some of the Yautja technology and inject it into himself. And basically, at his 78-year-old age that he is in Predator Hunting Grounds, was able to, become much younger, essentially, and, more agile and all of that stuff, so he could better fight these Predators, basically live longer, kind of like immortality, but not exactly. But that's the case with Dutch in Predator Hunting Grounds. Now, whenever we see Dutch in Killer of Killers, he is obviously a young Dutch. This appears to be, he was captured right after the events of 1987, which makes no canonical sense with his 2025 character in Predator Hunting Grounds. You know, a lot of folks I've seen argue, well, maybe he was just captured after 2025. Well, I mean, then Old Dutch simply in Predator Hunting Grounds 2025 is not canon because he's young in Killer of Killers. So this is the thing, you know, a lot of Predator folks, you know, fans might think that this is not a big deal. But if you're a lore accurate person like myself, this is this is kind of difficult to deal with, difficult to understand. It's just, it seems to be a pattern with Dan Trachtenberg films. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad. I'm really excited, you know, really happy about what he's done with the Predator franchise, bringing it back, and, you know, lots of different movies coming out that were all, you know, critically, and, you know, audience favored these films very, very much. But the thing is, I feel like he just doesn't do enough research, you know, in terms of comics and games. I feel like he just follows the timeline of films, because if we look back at Prey, I made a video on this when Prey first came out. There was a lot of canonical issues with Prey as well, with Raphael Andolini's flintlock, which, you know, Greyback, the Elder Predator from the comics, received from Andolini himself, you know, as a trophy or a, you know, a souvenir for helping him in battle. But then somehow, Raphael Andolini is alive again in Prey years later after he was already killed, and gave the flintlock to Naru. So this makes no sense. We've already talked about, you know, the theory of maybe it was his son in Prey that retrieved the flintlock from Greyback and then gave it to Naru. But now it seems that Dan Trachtenberg may have broken his own canon and the comic canon by introducing Naru in the cryostasis in Killer of Killers. And I know I'm all over the place with this, guys, but I'm kind of just blurting things out as I'm thinking about them right now. But by having her in Killer of Killers, how exactly does Greyback get the flintlock back? Because we know that Greyback has the flintlock, and I don't know how he's able to get that back now with Naru in cryostasis in a different clan of predators. But that's aside the point. The point here is Predator Hunting Grounds as opposed to Killer of Killers. So I want to know what you guys' thoughts are on this down below. Is it no big deal? Are you kind of like irritated by this a little bit? Because I know I am. Especially, you know, I take Predator Hunting Grounds lore to heart. I love all the stories with the OWLF tapes. I am really excited about Mike Harrigan. Now with Mike, this could be possible. He was mentioned in Predator Hunting Grounds and Stalking Shadows, but there was nothing really that really told, you know, a story of what Mike did between his time with the City Hunter until present day. So that, with him being in the cryo chamber, could make sense. I could understand that. However, Dutch completely breaks canon. Naru also slightly breaks canon. So, yeah, I could go on and on about this, guys, but I want to know your thoughts on this. And also, you know, Predator Hunting Grounds, they're putting the new Predators, the Killer of Killer Predators, into the game at some point. They announced them a while ago, but what about now? What about Fireteam members? I mean, wouldn't this be a good time to introduce Naru, both Naru and Mike Harrigan? I have, you know, heard discussion that, you know, Danny Glover does not want to be a part of, you know, being Mike Harrigan anymore or anything like that. But I still feel like, you know, being a fan favorite that he is, somehow he could be interested, or, you know, introduced into the game as well. So that's my thoughts on it, guys. You know, we just watched this extended ending last night, and, you know, had a discussion with my buddy Aliens Gaming Universe about this as well. And I don't know, I really don't know how to think about this. So I want to know you guys' thoughts down below in the comments. What do you think about this kind of canon disruption here with Killer of Killers and Predator Hunting Grounds? But yeah, that's all we have for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for all things horror, and we'll see you guys on the next one.